All right, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up early and joining me this morning on this Friday morning. We're live on Facebook and on YouTube slash Twitter as well. If you're not following me on Twitter, I'm Eric WFMJ on Twitter. You can also find my YouTube channel if you search for me and subscribing to my YouTube channel. Make sure you get that ensures that you get all my videos, including my daily weather for Weather Geeks. Going to wait just a second here to really kind of get rolling, let a few more people join in. We're up to about 46 viewers now on Facebook. I'm going to wait until we get about 50 or so, and then we'll get started. I'm coming to you live this morning from my home office because I thought I'd do a little bit of an update on what we can expect today as far as the snow is concerned. In the grand scheme of things, this is not going to be a big deal for most of the area, and I really do think this is winter's last hurrah. The pattern beyond today becomes a little more April-like, and once we get into late April and into May, the chances of impactful snow become pretty minuscule. Climatologically speaking, it gets harder and harder to see any sort of impactful winter weather as we get into second half of April and certainly into May. I've been talking a lot this week on my videos and on TV about how strong the sun is here in mid-April. You can think of it as equivalent to late August as far as how strong the incoming solar radiation is. That makes a big difference. Even on a cloudy day like today, that incoming solar radiation makes a big difference and makes it really, really hard for snow to stick and be impactful when it falls during the day. As we've seen a couple of times lately, if the snow falls at night and the air temperatures are below freezing, you can have issues. We just had the issues yesterday morning in some spots with just a little snow and some black ice. And that can still happen in April if it occurs at night. But during the day, yeah, it gets really, really hard. All right. We've got plenty of viewers this morning. Good morning to Jody and Eric for joining me this morning on Facebook. Let's start with the regional radar view and a couple of caveats here. Our radar algorithm's having a little bit of a hard time identifying the snow this morning. You see all this green. It's not all rain, though. Everywhere where you see a blue box, that is where snow is being reported. So this is mostly snow where I have circled here. And then when you see the green boxes, that's rain. So back towards Indianapolis, Springfield, and down towards St. Louis, that's rain. But it's snow in Chicago and Fort Wayne and South Bend and Toledo. And even as far east as I-71 right now, we are seeing some snow falling. And again, apologize for the radar algorithm having a little bit of a hard time with the identification of our snow this morning. You see this green, but it is indeed snow that's falling across a lot of northern and northwest Ohio this morning. All right, locally, air temperatures look like this as of 8:25 this morning. We're right at freezing in Boardman, Youngstown, and Sharon, as well as Cortland. Pretty close to the freezing mark pretty much throughout the area. A few colder spots, including Sandy Lake at 30, up towards Mesopotamia, 28, 29 degrees up there. But we're right at freezing right now, and the snow is arriving a little bit later than it looks like it would a couple of days ago. A couple of days ago, say on Wednesday, it looked like maybe the snow would get going just after daybreak this morning. Because the snow is waiting until mid-morning, that's giving these temperatures a chance to rise. Not only the air temperatures, but also the road temperatures as well. Here's a look at some road sensor temperatures from this morning. And you got a few wonky readings here like this. This looks a little off to me, but the ones that look legitimate are all above freezing pretty much. And again, the delayed onset of the snow helps us out as far as the air temperatures and the road temperatures being favorable for minimal impacts on the roads this morning. So good news there. Let's talk about the timing of our snow. Again, this is going to arrive mid-morning. This is our simulated radar right around, let's stop it at 10 o'clock. Now, I do think that this is underdoing the eastern edge a little bit. I think you can kind of expand the leading edge of the snow out to like this in about an hour and a half to 2 hours from now. And so I would expect in most of our area during the 10 and 11 o'clock hours, it'll be snowing at least lightly. But depending on where you are, the snow is just not going to last very long. It's not going to be long before this punch of milder air, both at the surface and aloft, up above our heads a handful of thousand feet, that punches in and changes things over to rain fairly quickly. So as we get into the afternoon, it's still maybe snowing into the mid-afternoon hours once you're up towards Route 87 in Trumbull County, up towards Kinsman and Gustavus, and heading over into the Middlefield area and Geauga, Lake, Ashtabula, Crawford counties, PA, even a good chunk of Mercer County. May still be seeing snow by 2 or 3 this afternoon, but by early to mid-afternoon, I think it's raining in Mahoning County, Columbiana County, a lot of Lawrence and Beaver counties as well. And if you're watching me back towards the Canton area, same idea back there. It'll be raining early to mid-afternoon at the latest. But again, farther north and a little bit closer to the primary snow belt of northeast Ohio, northwest PA, it'll still be snowing. This is not lake effect, but just as a geographical reference, primary snow belt hangs on to the snow a little bit longer this afternoon. Now, as we transition into the evening, even up north, by 5, 6, 7 this evening, I suspect a chilly, miserable rain is falling in Greenville and New Lebanon and Kinsman and places like that. And by this point, impactful snow is ancient history. And we'll just see a light, chilly rain for the late afternoon and evening, and then precipitation will wind down this evening, leading to a quiet day coming up for tomorrow. Now, there's been a little bit of a downward trend in our computer modeling as far as how much snow to expect. Here's a look at the last 4 runs of one of our sets of models. And the most recent run, and this is for the Youngstown Warren Airport and vicinity, the most recent run is this green line. And over here is the legend. This is the 1-inch line right here. And so while previously it looked like 1.5 inches to 2 inches might be expected in that vicinity of the airport, Vienna, Warren, Cortland, Howland, Sharon, etc. The most recent run definitely came down much closer to 1 inch in that vicinity, and I think that makes sense. This is one of our models showing, this is the European model showing how much snow it's expecting. Anyone happen to be traveling east on I-80 into the Keystone State today, you're going to run into some trouble once you get into a central PA. East of DuBois especially. This is where the sweet spot's going to be, around and north of I-80 in north central PA, up towards Bradford and Wellsboro, and then crossing the state line into New York closer to I-86, south of the Finger Lakes. That is going to be kind of where the sweet spot is. Also a little bit of a bullseye, northwest Ohio into northern Indiana as well. That's where probably a handful of inches of snow is likely to occur. Here's kind of a zoomed in view of the snow forecast off the European model, showing basically nothing for areas south of 224, and then 1 inch to maybe 2 inches as you get off to the north. Did want to briefly show you our snow map that we issued yesterday. I still think this is generally pretty good. I think 2 inches is pretty much off the table. South of this line. Once you get down into Warren, Sharon, Vienna, Niles, Girard, McDonald, over into Hubbard, West Middlesex, Grove City, I don't think anyone's getting 2 inches in that vicinity, but 1 inch is going to be a possibility in those places. Once you get north of Cortland and maybe from Southington north, maybe north of Sharon and north of Mercer, 1.5 inches to 2, a little more likely up there as the snow hangs on a little longer. But I think about 1 inch will do it in the southern tier of Trumbull County, closer to I-80, and the same idea in the southern tier of Mercer County. Once you're down into Austintown, Ellsworth, Cornersburg, Camel, Boardman, Poland, etc., pretty much all of Mahoning County, it's going to be less than 1 inch before it gets washed away by rain, and pretty much little or nothing for all of Columbiana County and the southern tier of Lawrence County as well. Good morning to Jill and Becky and Linda and Shirley. For joining me on Facebook. I'm seeing the comments rolling by. Jill wants to know what happened to the nice weather. We've certainly had some bouts of nice spring weather so far this season. Spring got off to an early start. We're in kind of this period right now where it's not so nice, but if you've been paying attention to my longer range forecasts on TV and on Weather for Weather Geeks, I do think better things are coming as we go into next week. Now, it's not going to be a pattern that's going to produce an 80-degree day, but instead of the lower 40s and some chances of wintry precipitation, I think as we get into next week, we're talking more like 50s, and eventually some 60s will probably start to work into the pattern. So for those just joining me, this is the regional radar view. A lot of green here, but some of this is snow. The radar algorithm's not picking up on the snow, but where you see the blue boxes in this area where I'm drawing, this is snow. So it's snowing in places such as Mansfield and Sandusky, and out towards Toledo and up towards Detroit and Kalamazoo. This morning, the green boxes are rain, so you're seeing rain in Indianapolis, Springfield, down to St. Louis. And all of this is pushing east. We're going to see snow for a little while this morning. It's going to be pretty low impact due to air temperatures and road temperatures being mostly above freezing. It's mid-April. Snow during the day in mid-April is just going to have a real hard time sticking unless it's crazy abnormal cold weather, which we're not seeing. So a little bit of snow this morning. From south to north, it'll probably, in fact, very likely change over to rain as we get into the afternoon today. And this is probably winter's last hurrah. I would, at this point, be safe placing a little bit of money, if I were a betting man, on this being the last snowfall of the year for most of us, aside from maybe a stray flurry later on this spring. But as far as any sort of snow that might stick to your car or cause a little slush here and there, this is probably it. I think as we get into next week, a more favorable pattern, a more seasonal pattern starts to take shape, and maybe we even see some 60s by very late next week and into next weekend. All right, I'll wrap up the live stream here this morning. Again, grand scheme of things, this is probably no big deal, kind of winter's last hurrah. As the snow falls over the next few hours, just watch for isolated slick spots on colder, elevated surfaces, maybe a couple of bridges, and maybe your sidewalk, things like that. But mostly this is going to be just a chilly rain with temperatures rising into the 40s in most of the area this afternoon. Have a good rest of your Friday. Hope you and your family are staying safe and doing well in these weird times. I'll have an update on the weekend forecast, the longer range, and everything else you need to know weather-wise this evening. 21 News at 6 and 11, weather for Weather Geeks. You can watch that on Facebook, on my YouTube channel. I'll link to it on Twitter as well, and you can always check it out on WFMJ.com/weather. All right, have a great rest of your Friday, everyone.